What's going on, Washington fans? We have some exciting news this morning after a massive press conference, something that we've been waiting on for a long time now. We literally go straight from the NFL draft into the news that your Washington Commanders will be returning back to Washington, D.C. at the RFK site, which has just been sitting there for a long time. Looked like something out of I Am Legend. Like, it just wasn't pretty. I drove past it last season after a game just to see it. Being in town, I was like, heck, might as well just drive by and take a good look at her. And Lord and behold, like I said, we are going back to the RFK site. We have a lot of new information I'm going to talk about. Got some tweets saved here from the press conference with all the local media that was there this morning. So I'm excited about this. I cannot wait. We've talked about how bad FedEx has been for so long, and it's time. It's been time. But also, you have to give major props to Josh Harris, who has just taken this team from rock bottom to the highest of highs in the shortest amount of time possible, going to the NFC Championship game last year, but then just how much he's invested, with all the off the field stuff and all the hirings he did with Adam Peters, Dan Quinn, just all those massive moves, and really taking us from, like I said, rock bottom to such a bright future. So let's get right to it. Let's take a look at some of the tweets that was going up. So Mark Mass says the Commander Stadium to be built with a roof at the RFK site will make Washington a candidate to host a future Super Bowl, which is exciting. Hopefully we'll have our own Super Bowl. But worth noting, under NFL guidelines, a stadium must be in use for 2 full seasons to be considered as a Super Bowl venue. The hope is for the Commanders' new stadium with a roof to be open in the 2030 season. So we have a little bit of time. And then John Kime says the cost, the timeline, and the comparison of the agreement between the Commanders and DC to build a stadium at RFK will be other properties, housing, retail, restaurants, etc. Promise made, promise kept, said Mayor Bowser. And that is definitely right. We'll take a little zoomed in look at some of the stuff here if it's going to let us. $2.7 billion for vertical construction, the single largest private investment in the district's history. So putting money where your mouth is. The district, $500 million for horizontal construction, $181 million for from Events DC for parking, and then FY 2032, $175 million generated by stadium activity to be reinvested primarily in parking. We have some stuff to talk about with parking and stuff too. I know people were talking about like tailgating and places to hang out and all that good stuff. But we'll leverage dedicated funds from the existing sports facility fee, formerly called the ballpark fee. This investment will require no cuts from the operating budget. And then the next picture he put up was the timeline, something everyone's wanting to hear about. Summer 2025, this season, council will approve on that. I know they need 7 votes. They had 4 of the people there. To be honest with you, I'm not worried about it. Mayor Bowser's not, worried about it at all. She sounds like everything's going to be fine with it. I agree. Not even really thinking about it. Summer, fall 2025, planning commences for parks, housing, and recreation. Maybe there's some people that want to get on some housing in 2030, starting a family, something like that. This is where you want to be at. Fall, winter of 2026, next season, stadium site groundbreaking. So a little over a year from now, that's when the stadium site groundbreaking is planned to start. Early 2029, Plaza District groundbreaking. So all that stuff around it, and we'll see another picture coming up here soon. Summer 2030, Sportsplex ribbon cutting, and then fall 2030, the stadium opening, the first season under the new dome. And we have pictures that we'll look at as well. Another one here. A lot of people were talking about, public investment, percentage of stadium and parking development costs. Washington actually has the lowest percentage of public investment compared to Tennessee, Jacksonville, Buffalo, New Orleans, all these places that either just got new stadiums or places that are getting new stadiums. Same with Las Vegas. Only 24% for Washington, D.C. The next lowest is Las Vegas at 37%. New Orleans is 67%. That's actually nuts. So it's not, like I said, once again, Josh Harris putting his money where his mouth is. And it shows just that same public investment money chart here. And then we have the first actual rendering. Take a look. DC and NFL announced proposal for 65,000 seat Commander Stadium at RFK site. Here's everything in the deal. Now heading to DC Council. 2.7 billion stadium funded by the Commanders. 6,000 new homes proposed. $1 billion, not million, $1 billion public investment. And here is the first official renderings of what the stadium could look like. This isn't an official rendering by any means, but just look at that. What an upgrade. I mean, guys, if this doesn't get you fired up, I'm not sure what will. Glass dome, glass outside. Kind of reminds me a little bit of like a little mix of like the Las Vegas Raiders Stadium. I can't remember what it's called. Allegiant Stadium, I want to say it is. But then also like Mercedes-Benz Dome. I haven't been to the Las Vegas one. I've seen the outside of it in person. It looks massive. Looks like a spaceship. I have been to the Mercedes Dome in Atlanta. I haven't been to the one in New Orleans, but this kind of looks like the Atlanta one. A little bit different, obviously, but it also has that background, that glass background backdrop there. It reminds me of the Raiders. But just look at this, the ribbon like screen across the top there, even down low above the sections. There's so much that's going to go into this. And like I said, this isn't some official, this is what it looks like. This is just the first real rendering that we're getting our eyes on, just overlooking the Capitol, overlooking, you see the Washington Monument back there. There's so much going on. It's just the surrounding area, like the White House, the scenery, just so much going on back there. It's a beautiful sight. I love DC. I have a love-hate relationship with DC. I hate the parking. Sometimes I hate the people. But for the most part, I love DC. I just love the historic feeling and having the water out there as well. Just so much to like about this. Just the aesthetic of having that stadium back. It's just going to hit different. But this is our first look of what the stadium could possibly look like. And for those that were concerned with parking and tailgating, the new RFK Stadium plans for 8,000 parking spots and allows for tailgating. Also, plans are to build a world-class rideshare situation. JP says, which by 2030 might be important, and I agree. So here's the major notes. Key information from Scott Abraham for the new Commander Stadium. It will be a roof stadium. Field of opportunities on the banks of the Anacostia River. Just talking about obviously how much the DC actually draws in people, but then also we will deliver at RFK a $2.7 billion investment, the single largest private investment in DC history, will help activate the campus, deliver jobs, and spark opportunity in DC, which is what shit was talking so much about. All the wasted land there was like 187 acres or something like that. All that area that needs to be used up. Campus and stadium activity will generate $15.6 billion in direct spending, delivering lasting economic benefits for all 8 wards of DC. The roof stadium will host approximately 200 activation days, including 40 major events. So obviously not just Washington home games, but you got to think about concerts. You have to think about the Final Four, WrestleMania, the Super Bowl, the NFL draft. Having this new stadium, having a dome, so much will come from this. The World Cup, for crying out loud. This is not going to just be a Sunday event kind of thing. You're thinking major events. I mean, you could even see like the Army-Navy game, like just historic sporting events coming to DC where we haven't really been able to. I mean, we've had like the, March Madness, at like Cap Arena and stuff like that, but just so much more opportunities. And I know we've had some concerts, like we had Beyonce and stuff like that, at FedEx Field, but this just kicks the door wide open on the possibilities that could be at the new RFK site. We can do it all. 5,000 to 6,000 new homes will be created, including at least 1,500 to 1,800 affordable homes. The stadium will generate 2,000 permanent full-time and part-time jobs and 14,000 construction jobs. The fields at RFK will be preserved in a $80 million A sportsplex facility for DC's youth will be delivered. At least 30% of the campus will be parks, trails, and green space, knitting together thousands of acres across the Anacostia waterfront. So super, super exciting stuff there. And something else I really wanted to take a look at is where's it at? Here we go. This is pretty much like a map out of everything as well, which I thought was interesting. So this kind of shows you here. If I can actually get it up. Twitter hates me. All right, so we have the stadium district here. You got the Plaza district, the Riverfront district. You have the Sportsplex, Kingsman Park district. There's just so much across the Anacostia right here that's going to really go into effect. And they have it listed here: the Plaza district, stadium supporting entertainment district in Festival Plaza with housing, hotels, retail, and restaurants. The stadium district, Super Bowl ready stadium, and a new home for the Washington Commanders. Then the Riverfront district right over here, the waterfront community anchored by housing, retail, and restaurants. So that's massive for me. That's the biggest thing for me when it comes to DC. I don't want to have to go like too deep into DC to have to enjoy, pre-gaming or even afterwards. If I just want to go hang out, get some food, watch the rest of the games on Sunday. Say we play a 1:00 game. I want to watch, the afternoon game, just get something to eat. Waterfront community anchored by housing, retail, and restaurants in this little waterfront district here. That's massive for me. And same with the Plaza district. Hotels, retail, restaurants, all right here surrounding the stadium. And same with the Riverfront district here. The Kingsman Park district, for those that want to move to DC, housing and recreation community, all right here. And then there's going to be parking here, parking here, parking here. There's a lot of opportunities for parking. And then the recreation district right here under the Kingsman Park district, recreation hub centered around the fields at RFK and a state-of-the-art sportsplex. So not just the stadium, but they talk about the youth fields and stuff like that. All of that going into that section. So just helping build out the community. Love it. And then the Anacostia Commons, 30-acre stretch of riverfront community commons anchored by the Anacostia River Trail. So more so running trails and stuff like that, just more outdoor activities for people to enjoy just around the area. It doesn't really have anything to do with game day, but Jake Russell said, fun to dissect the DC's rendering. Once again, the rendering does not mean how it'll actually look, but still interesting to see the thought process of the new Commander Stadium at RFK, glass roof, wraparound ribbon boards, big screens, W-shaped end zone, which I didn't even really recognize at first, talking about how this could be built out into a W with the end zone view of the Capitol. Gotta love how it looks. So like I said, we saw the renderings, we've seen the scheduling. There's a lot of things to be excited about with this, but for me, this is it. Going from FedEx Field to this, this looks like something like the Greek gods used to fight in. This is insane to think about. We have waited so long for this. It seems like it was one day we'll get this. One day we'll get this. And I was listening to the entire press conference while I was at the gym this morning. Just such refreshing words and just hearing of how positive they feel about everything coming together. And once again, just saying where we came from to where we are now, guys. This should excite everybody. And I know there's a mixed emotions about the roof and, I want to experience snow games and stuff like that, or blah, blah, blah. Talk about the sunset with the sun coming in. How will they're going to figure all that out. We've seen plenty of new stadiums get built. We've seen what happens in Jerry's World when the sun goes down there and how it looks. They're not going to allow that to happen. They're going to have a solution for all this. So guys, I'm not worried about it. There's people that are upset about the roof. To be honest with you, I don't know why. I love a dome. Like I said, I enjoy dome games. I hate sitting in the rain. I've been through too many snow games, too many rain games. They can keep that. I'm fine with that. Just give me a clean dome stadium where Jaden Daniels can play his entire career. We're not worried about rain. We're not worried about all that crap. This is going to be a state-of-the-art, the biggest, most up-to-date, I'd say probably most complex stadium in the United States. Josh Harris said this is definitely going to be the most important stadium in the country. And I think he, fully means that. Not even just with Washington playing there, but all the things that are going to come there, like I said, WrestleMania, the World Cup, the Final Four, just everything you can think about. I mean, hell, they were even showing Taylor Swift as coming to the new stadium. So there's just a lot to think about. So Washington fans, you should be beyond excited about this. I definitely am excited about this. Someone who's coming back to Virginia. I know this won't open up until 2030, so we have a couple more years at FedEx Field. So let's make the most of it. They've already put improvements there. He also talked about, oh, they're going to stay in Virginia. And he said, we have, the stadium going to DC. We have the practice field in Ashburn, Virginia. And then in Maryland, we have, headquarters and stuff like that. So we have a lot of things going on. We kind of want to, take up all three of the DMV with DC, Maryland, and Virginia. So that should stay the same. And they've also made a ton of renovations in Ashburn. Even if you were just at training camp last year, seeing them put the new field in and all the stuff they're doing there, they're making major upgrades. Weight rooms, the draft room looks good. We saw that, last week, and just a lot of major changes. So I'm fine with them staying to practice in Virginia and then playing in DC. Just really, not even just make everyone happy, because who cares what we think, honestly. But I like how Ashburn's set up. I actually enjoy the location there at training camp. I do miss Richmond sometimes, but I think, as they continue to build up Ashburn and, improve it, not even just training camp, but like I said, the facilities, the practice stuff for the players, but also for the fans. I think there's so much more that they can do in Ashburn. I think they will do. I don't think he's even close to done. I mean, we saw them put the bleachers in, just major upgrades from what we're used to in the past. So we've seen the minor stuff, but now we're starting to see the major stuff with the new RFK site and stadium coming in 2030. So hopefully y'all enjoyed this. Go watch that press conference on the Washington Commanders site to get the full, they're asking questions and stuff like that. So if you have any other questions, I'm sure they answered it in that press conference, but appreciate it. Hit that subscribe and like button, and I'll see y'all next time.